everybody! Today I'm going to resin some canvases. I have a Trip-tych here on 10 by 20 canvases. I've got the back all taped up. I've got my little push pins in, and I'm just going to show you quickly how I resin canvases. I don't tend to resin bigger canvases. You can do it. It's a little bit trickier. You have to make sure. I think what folks do is they cut a piece of cardboard and lay it in here, heavier cardboard, so that the resin doesn't sag. I just kind of stay away from doing the big canvases because I'm just worried that I'm going to get ridges and stuff. So stick with the smaller canvases, and I haven't had any problems. So with your resin, follow the instructions because they're all a little bit different, and make sure that you've got gloves on, and if you're in a small area without good ventilation, make sure you wear a respirator. I keep calling it a ventilator. No, it's a respirator. So I've been using magic resin. I find it works really well for me. And what I do is roughly measure what I think I'm going to use. A lot of people, there's charts and you can calculate exactly how much you use. I find I can estimate it pretty good. If I have a little bit extra, I'll just find something else to put it on. I got lots of stuff around. These are cups I use for resin, and I reuse them. As long as when you empty them out, scrape them really good, then I find I can reuse them. I try to reuse as many things as I can. So I'm just kind of eyeballing how much I think I need for the 3 canvases. That should do it. So that's part A, that's the thicker one. So you should pour that one out first, because then it's, when you're pouring out the second one, can you see what I'm doing? Yeah, it's easier to get it right, get the right amount. Come on out. Sometimes the lids are a little sticky. I usually have my pliers to get these out. Here we go. Get that lid back on. I don't get the lids mixed up. Okay, and then the second part, big thing is you got to make sure you get exactly the same amount. So these cups have little lines on them, makes it easier to gauge how much to put in. I just have to check. So I check it that way, and then I put them down on a level surface. Make sure I got it exactly the same. I need just a hair more here, just a hair. That should do it. One more check. Yep, that's got it. So then I have, oops, move this out of the way for a bit. I have another, got it. Ooh, nick of time. I use a container, just margarine containers or whatever, that doesn't have any ridges on the side or on the bottom, so that I can scrape the sides really well. I pour the thin one in first, scrape it all out really good. See, I've got T marked on this cup for thin. Scrape it all out really good. Right at the bottom, get it all out. Pardon. Save that for later, for another day, and then I pour in the thicker one. See, it's kind of like honey. Kind of pour it in from high up, and that gets the mixing started off for me. Same thing, get it all out. Now the canvases that I'm using do not have, or the paintings that I'm doing don't have any silicone in. If you're resining a piece that you use silicone on, it's kind of a whole different process. It's a little bit trickier. The silicone will not stick to the resin will not stick to any surface area that has some silicone residue on. So there's a process where you can use like baby powder, like cornstarch, talcum type powder. What I used to do with that is I'd rub it all over the canvas, rub it in really good, and then wash it off with some soapy water, and let it dry completely, and then resin. Then usually you're okay. It can still be tricky. I've just decided I'm not going to do that anymore. Too much of a dance for me. Okay, so then is the mixing. And this is really important. You got to make sure you mix for at least 3 minutes. I usually go 4, sometimes more when I lose count, just to be sure. And so you just keep mixing it really good. Keep scraping the sides. Like that. So I'll be back in about 4 minutes. Okay, we're back. So your canvas is all clean, and this painting I did it about 2 weeks ago. I usually wait about 2 weeks. I found that's enough. Some people wait longer, but I've usually wait 2 weeks, and I've never had a problem. So away we go. So all mixed. Just gonna pour about 1/3 of that on there. And sometimes I'll use a stick or something to spread it. Usually I end up just putting my hands in it. I don't make it super thick. I just make sure it's nicely covered. And here comes the hands. And you just spread it around. Like I say, some people do it really thick, and that's fine. I found that as long as I get, a good coverage, it's fine. Resin's expensive, so this is my miserly resin job. But it works fine. I don't know that you can really tell the difference if it's thick or thin. As long as you've got enough on to, it's going to cover it nicely. It's almost like, I almost use it as a varnishing, And I'll keep an eye on it to make sure that I've got it really covered well. And then it doesn't come away from the edges. I go by the feel. I can tell if it's well covered. Yeah, feels pretty good all the way around. Beauty. And then I have a culinary torch to get the bubbles out. So you just want to go over it. I don't know if you can see the bubbles popping. You probably can't, but just go over it, make sure, kind of quickly, make sure you don't go any closer than about 3 inches. Any closer than that, you're going to scorch the resin, and you'll get like a scab kind of seal thing. I mean, it's a bit of a pain. You'd have to let it cure to get rid of that, and then sand it off and re-resin, so best not to go too close. You just check around and see if there's any little hairs that have landed on it. I see a few little spots. I'm not sure if they're bubbles or if they're little specks of something. So you just go around and check with a toothpick, and just keep an eye on it. What's that? Is that a big bubble, or is it a little piece of dust? So just keep going around for about an hour. And every once in a while, give it a little torch, because the bubbles will keep coming to the surface. So you want to just keep giving it a bit of a torch. For about an hour, keep an eye on it and see, if anything lands on it. You can put like a cover over it, like sometimes some people put like a cardboard box or something like that over top. I found that it's not too bad. Depending on what you're doing, just keep an eye on it, make sure there's no dust landing on it, and you should be good. So that's kind of it. So I'll come back tomorrow morning. I'm going to finish these other two, and I'll show you what the finished piece looks like and how to take the tape off the back. And that's about it. It's pretty easy. Morning, everybody. Here we are, all done, all cured. Turned out good. They're nice. You see, the edges are fine. So now I just have to take off the tape. I'll just show you briefly. Take out my little push pins. Oh, there's paint on the bottom from the other painting. Nothing simple. Okay. Here we go. So the push pins are out, and then you just carefully, I just hold my fingers at the edge just to make sure you don't accidentally rip the resin off the edge, and just carefully, sometimes you get a little drip that sticks, carefully peel off the tape, and then you'll have a nice clean edge. There we go, and that's about all there is to it for me. Sometimes at the corners you got to be a little bit careful. So I'll come back and take off that little corner. Just be careful on the edges, because it's only at whatever, about, I don't know how many hours, maybe 20 hours ago that I did it. So the resin's not really hard yet. I usually don't wait very long to take the tape off, because I think that if you wait too long and it's fully cured, you might give you a bit of a rougher time getting it off, but it comes off easy. And that's it. And we're all done. Turned out good. There's a few little specks of dust on, you know, if I hold it up to the light I can see. But you know what, I used to, if there was a tiny speck of dust, I go, darn, I'd sand the whole thing and re-resin it, and then it would cure, and there'd be another little different piece of dust. So I just, you know what, nobody will ever see it, and you can drive yourself crazy chasing tiny little bits of dust. So best to just kind of, you know, don't be quite so fussy. And you know, resining paintings is not all that hard. Okay. So there they are, all resined up. See the nice shine from the resin. Yeah, so that's all there is to it.